What you doing, buddy? You wondering why we're out here with this big old pack and they don't allow overnight backpacking? I know, it's a little confusing. Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, out on a nice rainy day. Me and the pup, Denali. Got a backpack with me. Now, if you're familiar with the channel, you may be wondering, is that a new pack? And yes, it is. It was actually sent to me by a rep over at a company called Scandinavian Gear, and it is a 65-liter backpack. And the interesting thing about this particular backpack is it is sub $100, and yet the quality actually looks surprisingly good for a bag of that status. So I instantly thought of some of the comments that I get on this channel from people who are just getting into backpacking. I do seem to have a decent amount of you subscribers out there, and I thought of you guys because when I first got into backpacking, I was really looking for a way to not invest a ton into this, because at the time I didn't know if it was something I was really into. Some people get into it all the way, some people don't, some people take a trip once every couple years. So when I first started, I didn't want to invest a ton of money. There were Gregory backpacks out there, real high end. My wife ended up actually getting one, and so did my friend Mike, $290. I ended up being cheap and still spent $180 on an EMS brand backpack, my Long Trail. It's been in a lot of videos. I love that pack. But when you're talking under $100, I start to get a little skeptical of the quality and the build and the design that went into it. This particular bag, now prices change all the time, is actually $80. We're gonna put it through its paces today. I'm gonna do a detailed review on all of its features as well, and we're gonna really break down whether or not this bag is a viable option for somebody looking for a budget backpack. So let's get this thing on our back and get on the trail here. There we go. Little clip on this front there. A little built-in whistle as well. Interesting. It works. First part of the review done. Whistle works. Snap the hip belt on here. Large pockets. Cell phone does fit in it. Some dog treats as well. Did someone say dog treats? Yes, I did. All right, come on, let's go. Now at 65 liters, you can cram a lot into a pack like this. They actually say if you undo the side compression straps, you can get another 5 liters out of it. So I don't know if that means it's 65 liters with it expanded, or it's 65 liters and you can get it up to 70 with it expanded. I don't know. I will say side by side with my 70-liter pack, my older one I was talking about, it does look wider when those compression straps are undone. So I think I might be able to fit a good 70 liters in here. Which way you want to go, buddy? Go this way? Bit of a road hike to begin with, but I think there's an old shelter up here we can maybe hang out in and do this video as well. First impressions, quality, actually a little better than I expected. Quite a bit better, actually. Now, of course, when you're buying a backpack, one of the bare minimum things you want, right, is comfort and functionality. It sounds simple, but it should be kept in mind that a lot of those higher end backpacks, you're starting to just pay for nicer materials, better fit and finish. These are all nice things, but they won't necessarily make or break your survival in the woods. Like the Gregory pack I was talking about that my wife and my friend Mike has. Beautiful packs. It's like the Mercedes of packs. But that doesn't mean that you need to have that level to get out there and get hiking. I've personally never owned a pack at quite that price point, and I've been just fine. Nolly, come here. Denali, come. No chasing squirrels. Good boy. It's got nice padding on the back. Now, it's not the first time I've put this pack on. I'm slowly tweaking it as I go, but I've gotten most of the configuration set, I think, how I want. And there's a decent pad on the back that is making it pretty comfortable, and decent shoulder pads as well. Now, it's the first few 100 meters of this hike, so that really has nothing to do with how you'll feel after you wear a pack for a while. Now, I did load this thing up with around 25 pounds worth of gear, just random stuff to simulate going on an actual hike. Like I said, we're not staying out here tonight, just doing a little test. All right, come on. I think it's down here. Come on. It's also quite a bit rainy and wet today. It's not actively raining right now, which I'm happy about, but at the same time, it kind of lends itself to one of the features of this backpack, and that is that it comes with a rain cover as well, which when you're first starting out backpacking, if you're anything like me and countless other people, you see the backpack, you see the price, you get done, you finally do it, you buy it, and then the salesperson or your friend says to you, all right, well, now we got to pick out a rain cover. And you go, what? I got to buy a $40 rain cover? I just paid $200 for a pack. Well, I won't get into it here, but trust me, making a backpack actually waterproof, there are some purpose-built ones out there, but you're going to lose functionality. and you're going to jack up price. It's either going to be a big giant dry sack basically on your back, or it's going to have to be super sealed around all those zippers and everything. So standard industry practice is to design a pack that's somewhat water repellent, and then you put a rain cover over top of it. And in this case, this bag does sport a pretty nice, from what I can tell so far and what they say in their literature, water repellent finish. So it beads up pretty well anyway. If a deluge starts to come down, we'll pull out the rain cover. Boy, that fog is starting to get kind of thick, and these raindrops are picking up. This is going to be an interesting hike for sure, huh, Denali? Now, if only I could remember where exactly the shelter is, because I thought before it would just make the video cool, but now I think I'm really going to need it. I just kind of stumbled upon it one time. But it's somewhere, if we get off the trail and go over the hill, somewhere around here, I think. Whew. At least somewhere in that direction, at least. It sounds like, well, the wind's kicking up, and it sounds like the rain in the distance is kind of heavy. So I'm hoping to find this thing before it really opens up on us. Uh-oh, Nolly. Is that the base for what used to be the shelter? It sure looks like it. Well, years ago when I was hiking through here, this was a shelter. I always thought it was odd because this is a day-use park. I don't know what the history of why it was ever here. They probably tore it down. Oh, we're not filming there. So, I'm gonna get some more hiking in, and then we might have to take this review indoors. All right, and here we go. That's a little better here on the tabletop, nice and dry. Let's get this sleeping pad out of the way first here so you can get a look at it. And there you have it, the Scandinavian Gear 65-liter pack. Now, as I mentioned on the trail, I do have it stuffed with an assortment of gear just to more accurately test it while hiking. This is a 65-liter, so this will probably be something for colder weather trips that I do, winter trips, or on trips with my wife where, say, I carry a bigger bulk of the food and whatnot, just, you know, out of the kindness of my heart. So keep that in mind as we go through here. This isn't actually my loadout. It's just an assortment of stuff just to bulk the pack up for testing purposes. Let's start with the top instead of the bottom. So top compartment, got some line on top there that you can adjust to put any extra gear on there, maybe stuff a shirt that you often take on and off up there, stuff like that. So that's a nice little addition. And then a zipper to access the contents in there. You notice there is a nice kind of gusset over there, nice overlap to keep some raindrops from going in there. When I was doing the day hike that you saw with this, I actually never put the rain cover on, which we'll get to. I just wanted to test out the resistance of just the fabric itself, and it held up pretty well in light rain. Let's get this stuff out. Pretty ample room in there for you to put some stuff. Not bad, pretty standard, right? Should be pointed out, it is not removable, so sometimes guys like to have the option to take the top off to lighten their load a bit. This one is sewn on. You see the hydration tube coming out? Hydration pack does not come with it. I just put it on there as an example. I actually usually don't hike with a hydration bladder nowadays, but for testing and review purposes, figured I'd pop it in there. So this is my Osprey water bladder that I have in the pocket in the back. Tube comes right out of this hole that they have available here, labeled with the little water drop emblem there. Pops out of there pretty nicely. It does have this clip here that goes from the body of the pack up to the back to keep things secure. And once we take that off, it gives us access to the main compartment. We'll just get that out of the way. And here you can see that tube going through, and the pouch inside just slips right in there. Not rocket science. This is something that you'll find on plenty of packs out there, but to have it in a sub $100 pack is nice. A little bit of Velcro that secures it even more, and then slips right out, and we can refill it at a stream or whatever, and then slip it back in. Or if you're like me and you don't use a hydration system anymore, this is just one extra area to organize your gear and keep it accessible. Plenty of space in here. I was talking about before how they said you get an extra 5 liters by expanding or compressing these. So there, I will undo those, and you see that this guy really does kind of bulb out like that pretty good. You can almost get it to widen towards the top. You can really stuff this thing, it does appear. Again, something I don't actually take, but it's heavy, and I wanted heavy stuff to test out the comfort of the pack. So I want to empty it down so I can get you a better idea of how it looks without stuff in it as well. Now, another interesting feature, that top section we emptied, right? Now we got our bottom section, but you could have either the bottom section the way I have it set up, which is the only option on my old pack. It doesn't have what you're about to see here. So I got my stuff in here For me personally, this will be stuff that I want to keep accessible at camp, like say my actual hammock and tarp, so that I don't have to go digging through the pack. I know that those certain items are right there when I get to camp. It's just quick and easy for me. Although, if you're somebody that doesn't care and you just want more space, check this out. See that zippering there? Flip that down, and now access from the other side. It's just one giant compartment depending on your organizational needs. I like that. That's an advantage over my current pack of this somewhat equivalent size. So I'll probably be enjoying that feature on upcoming trips. Here's another thing too. Speaking of accessibility and things that I don't have in my current system, you'll see zippers on the side. One there and one over on this side as well. Now on this side, it's just an extra storage area. You can see I put some fuel in here. Let's say that I was going to have quick accessible hot tea options or something like that on the trail. So I put that there as an example, an extra spot to organize your stuff. But on the other side, very similar location on the opposite side, but when I hit this zipper, it's not its own compartment. It goes through into the inside of the pack. So I can access the inside of my pack from 3 spots: the bottom, the top, which is pretty traditional, as well as the side. So if you pack with that in mind, you can keep items you want right there, or in a pinch, you just open this up and one more place to shove your gear, zip it back up. You don't have to dig through your entire pack. It actually goes down pretty far towards the hip too. So you can get pretty deep in there. It's like the full length of the pack that you have access to on that particular side. Pretty nice. Moving over here, this is the hip belt area here. And like I said earlier, very thick, over an inch thick, almost an inch and a half in places. Compared to, for reference, this is my ultralight pack, and again, this is only a 46 liter, and I would not use it to carry nearly as heavy of a load, but look at that, I basically have no padding on there. So one extreme to the other. Now, different purpose pack, but that's quite cushy, and yet it seems to be made of a pretty lightweight foam material, so it's not adding too much to the weight of the entire pack, which I should point out, this whole pack is a little under 4 pounds. They have it listed as 3.8. I weighted at 3.9. It's around 1,800 grams for those of you into grams. So that's good. That's actually 1 pound less than my EMS pack that I paid $100 more for many years ago. And I've gone over in other videos, but keep that in mind, especially when you're beginning out with backpacking. A big part of your weight is going to come from the actual pack itself. So if you are really into lightweight backpacking down the road, but you're stuck with a 6.5 pound Gregory pack, that's going to eat up a lot of your weight savings right off the bat. A 4 pound system like this I like. That other pack I showed you that had like basically no padding for light loads, that's 1.5 pounds to put it in perspective. 4 pounds for a system that can carry 70 liters and let's say up to potentially 40 plus pound loads in the winter, maybe even 60 depending on your style. That's not bad for the entire weight of the system, 4 pounds. Anyway, back to the hip belts. Pretty roomy. You saw me put a cell phone in there. I couldn't quite get my camcorder in there, but you could definitely get a point and shoot, a GPS or something like that in there. And that is on both sides, identical pockets, both with the water resistant finish on there. Which brings us to the material. Might as well talk about that now. You can see it has that honeycomb ripstop pattern on there, and you can tell by that kind of reflective sheen to it that their claim of being pretty water resistant, I just might believe them, especially after having actually walked around in the rain with it. I can tell you it beads up really nice. It doesn't have that kind of material where it just wants to like absorb moisture, which is going to make your pack not only take forever to dry, but also makes it wetter as you're walking along, sucking up all that moisture. So that is nice. Now, I haven't had a chance to snag this on anything yet, but it does look like a fairly resilient fabric for its weight. Again, the heavier your pack, the probably heavier the material and the more damage resistant it is. And it's a balancing game, right? Now, coming from somebody that's used to a 1.5 pound 46 liter pack, I'm okay with treating my gear carefully in exchange for a less resilient material. But this one does look like it's got some nice promise considering its lighter weight. Moving past the material and onto other features, since we're here, you'll notice it has this loop here where you could attach your hiking poles or something like that, ice axe, and cinch it down. And then down at the bottom, there is this loop here that you could put your ice axe through, or the bottom of your hiking pole tips. And between these 2 points, you can probably connect it up pretty nicely, or get creative. Any of these attachment points, you can hook things up any old way you please. Basically, the way I look at it is the more extra spots there are to attach things, even if they don't seem to make sense when you first pick up the pack, I'd say the better, because you never know down the road, you going to get creative to get some weird piece of gear attached on there. So attachment points are nice without going too crazy and adding to the weight. But all of these pieces on here are a nice lightweight plastic. Now compared to like a Gregory or something, they're not quite the fit and finish, but Gregory's are also like $300 instead of $80. So I don't really care too much about stuff like that. When you're looking for a pack priced at a level where you just want to get out there and go, that is perfectly acceptable. These don't look like they're cheap and they're going to break or anything like that. So I'm fine with that. Time, of course, will be the real teller of that, but I'm really digging this pack so far. So I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to be taking this out on some trips, and they sent it to me at a good time, whether they planned it or not. But I would not probably use this pack in the summer just because I have a lot of smaller, lighter gear. But in the winter, this is my prime time for a 70 or 65 liter type system. So this guy, I'm actually looking forward to getting it out there in the snow or colder climes and see how it performs for real. The first impressions are good. Speaking of snow and wetness, let's move on to that included rain cover. I don't know if they call it integrated. I'm tempted to call it integrated, but as you'll see, if you really don't want it, you can take it off. But it's semi-integrated is what I'd call it. It's got this Velcro down here. So here's our main pouch that opens up, right? We already went over that. Right here, it says rain cover, just to let you know. And you undo the Velcro, and in here is hidden your rain cover. And like I said, semi-integrated because it's on this loop, which is nice, so you don't misplace it, and it's very easy to shove right back in the pocket. Now, if you're a Graham weenie, there are rain covers out there. Like I already own one from Dutchware that's 2 ounces. Got it for like 20 bucks or something like that. I really like that guy. So I could detach this by simply slipping that out of the buckle. So that's a plus for those of you who already have a rain cover that you really like. But my assumption with this video is coming from the perspective of somebody looking to get into backpacking and not spend a ton. So I would say this is a very cool advantage. One less thing to buy when you're starting, and it covers it just fine. Looks like it has plenty of extra options too for putting stuff underneath. Like for instance, my sleep pad. Let's test that. Pop it on there. Will the rain cover still slip over it? And the answer, thankfully, is yes. Fits on there no problem. It's even got some elasticity to it so that it adheres well to the pack. I like that. When you're done with it, shove it back in here, seal it up real quick. Now I will point out too, the interior of that pouch does appear to be a nice water resistant coating as well, so that hopefully it won't leach through onto whatever else you have in the pack. Now you saw earlier I had the sleeping pad on there. That's my preferred style. They do have the loops so that you can attach the pad like you saw, or of course you could probably rig up yourself some sort of way to have it lengthwise, but very easy to put it on there straight across. Let's flip it over and look at the back of it. Straps have a nice thickness to them as well. Not quite as thick as the hip belt, but they're probably 3/4 of an inch thick, and even thicker on the back pads. You see they have 2 pads back here running along your back to really give you some extra cushion. I was talking about that when I was hiking today. It's one of the first things I noticed, that it has a very nice cushioned back on it, which is cool. You can adjust it up and down by using these straps right here to adjust a little more for your height. The actual hip belt itself, just so you know, does not move. It is, or at least, yeah, it definitely feels like it is sewn in. And so what you want to do is adjust this as well as your shoulder straps to get that height up and down so that this is hitting your hip belt correctly. Didn't take me too long to dial it in, and I was good to go. Plenty of adjustments. You got your adjuster at the bottom of the shoulder strap. You got your load lifter straps up top here to really get it sealed to your back even better. On the hip belt right here, you can adjust the closeness of the hip belt, fine tune that right there, in addition to obviously your main method, which would be loosening and tightening that main buckle. And real quick, just now that we're looking at this, something that I caught and you may see yourself, that is actually a little crooked there, just the sewing. The pads are nice and perpendicular, and I didn't notice any comfort issues in the field, but you just notice that the way it's sewn there is a little off kilter. First thing that set it off for me was because of the way that pattern lines up. Now, like I said, this didn't affect my comfort, and it looks like more of a cosmetic issue for the most part, but that's a good example of fit and finish and price points. I mean, for $80, I don't consider that the end of the world, but I'll also tell you what, it says right on the tag that came with this thing that they really take pride in their customer service. So if I paid hard-earned money for this and that was actually bothering me comfort-wise, I would give those guys a call, and I wouldn't be surprised if they helped me out accordingly. Me personally, they sent me this as a trial, and I don't see it as anything more than a cosmetic issue, so I'm fine with that, but it would be unfair of me to not point that out. Just an example of when you're paying for this price point, obviously there may not be the same level of QA or quality assurance going on. But so far, that is the only problem I really see with fit and finish on this bag. Now moving on from that, you see the metal support in there, nice and sturdy, and that's what you can slide the back panel up and down on for adjustment, and also gives a lot of rigidity to the bag. Or it doesn't seem to be a lot of weight, probably a lightweight aluminum, I'm assuming. And down towards the butt and tailbone, really thick padding. I mentioned before that this was probably over an inch or so, and this is even thicker. Probably almost 2 inches of padding right there. So that feels really good when you snug it up against you. And you'll also notice, I mentioned, you know, the more the better, just having places to attach stuff. You never know down the line where you're gonna wanna put some gear or kind of make your own DIY place to hang something, etc. A good example is my little magnet for my hydration system. And they just have some random pieces of kind of ribbony stuff on here. And that was perfect for attaching that. Little elastic strap there. Just nice that they have these different options for doing your own little attachments. Maybe you have a water bottle carrier that hangs off of there, etc. And like most systems, you can slide the sternum strap up and down on here to get the desired comfort depending on your chest size, etc. Now moving on to the side pockets right here by the hip belt. Pretty standard for bags to have a pouch here or some sort of pocket. I prefer to keep my water bottles on each side in these pockets. They are on the left and the right, identical. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you like to do the same. So I will just point out, I feel like these may be a little shallow for my taste. They will get the job done, but just might take some getting used to. For example, I carry a big old 1.5 liter water bottle like this, actually two, one on each side. As you can see, that thing's pretty massive compared to that little pocket. You wouldn't want to have that unsecured. Not the end of the world, just something that I'll have to get used to. Just use that on the side there, one of the compression straps to secure it, and then I don't see that being a major problem. Just something that I noticed. And then to give some other examples, canteen style Nalgene that I like to use in the winter because I can put hot water in this and use it as like a hot water bottle. Again, just a little too shallow to be comfortable with that not bouncing out. Am I nitpicking? Maybe. Or I'm just giving you a heads up. Something to adapt to. Now what I did today, I actually carried this today just to see how it went. It was perfectly fine. I snugged that on there like that, and it kept it from bouncing around and made it much better. Standard Nalgene is probably more interesting to a lot of you guys out there. I'll show you how that looks in there. Fits fine. So width is not a problem for most of these styles. The Nalgene Classic, the 1.5 liter. It's just the depth that you'll have to get used to. But with that hydration pouch, a lot of you may not even worry about that. So there you have it. The 65 liter pack by Scandinavian Gear. That's my little review on that. I'll tell you what, pleasantly surprised I was with this pack in terms of quality and comfort. I definitely wouldn't hesitate recommending this to at least take a strong look at if you're in the market for a backpack for less than $100. As of right now, this is $20 below that threshold. You're looking at $80 for a backpack that, I'll tell you straight up, I'm going to take on a couple winter trips, and I'm excited to do so because compared to the pack I've been using for years, I actually see some advantages over it. And then I do like to test out new stuff, but I see several advantages, and it's a pound lighter, and it looks like it's more water resistant than my other pack. The addition of a rain cover as well, really think that that is a bonus for somebody looking to get started and not wanting to get hosed for another $20 to $40. Really liking the extra accessibility options from that side entrance there, as well as the combining of the bottom and top compartment. Overall, I think there's a lot of things to like about this, and the fact that it's at a reasonable price makes it even better. So, like I said, check it out, look into it. It looks like it's a relatively new company, or at least product, because it is available on Amazon, and there's only 2 reviews so far. Both of them are positive, but that's another reason I figured I'd throw my 2 cents out there for anybody interested in what this gear is actually like. That's my take on it. Till next time, I'm Syntax77, and you have fun out there.